Kroll was bullied in school by the other children for being socially awkward and slow. At the age of 10, he was drafted into the Hitler Youth, a sadistic program to shape Germany's rising generation to fit Hitler's model for a perfect society. Joachim didn't fit in here either. He was ridiculed by his teachers for being soft and quiet. He didn't fit the mold that the Hitler Youth was trying to force him into. So here begins the common pattern among killers. Kroll was an outcast from the very beginning. It was these feelings of alienness and isolation that would transform Kroll from an awkward child into a monster of a man. Evil does not appear in a vacuum, nor does it spring up without being watered. Darkness is merely the absence of light, and Kroll's life was devoid of any light. His father, already a hardened man from working as a miner, fought and died in World War II. With the absence of a man in home, Kroll's mother moved the family to a new town and a smaller home. Joachim was forced to drop out of school to help with the farm and to work to keep the family afloat. He only completed school up until the 3rd grade. It was during this time that Kroll developed many of his dark proclivities. The farm animals were often slaughtered brutal in these days, and Kroll found himself intrigued by their deaths. He would describe it later as a funny feeling he had when he saw pigs and cows being butchered for food. Investigators and psychologists would later realize that this was the beginning of a sexual attachment to violence. Joachim would act on these feelings and butcher local cats and other small animals because, as he put it, he wanted to see what their insides looked like. Already, Kroll had developed an unnatural attachment to violence and maiming living things. He received some sort of sexual gratification from seeing blood, guts, and the horror of death. These feelings and attractions would only deepen as time went on, and as Kroll further distanced himself from other people. Kroll understood that there was something wrong with him, but in spite of this, he tried to create connections with other people, though he could only hide the monster lurking within for so long. In 1955, when Joachim was 22, he met a waitress at a local bar and invited her to the cinema with him. He and the woman returned to his apartment, but Kroll was so socially repressed he had no idea what to do under the circumstances. Kroll attempted to have sex with her, but prematurely ejaculated. The woman left, and Kroll's shame fell deeper into his isolation. During the same year, Kroll's mother died, and this triggered a psychotic break in him. The one person who stood by him, who perhaps was able to understand him, was gone. Kroll was forced to move out on his own, no longer under the watchful and caring eye of his mother. He's a lone man in the world now, but it's the world, not Kroll, who should be worried.